He came home from a business trip and found another man's suit hanging in his closet. Daniel Hayes came home early because he wanted to save his marriage. He did not come home angry. He did not come home suspicious. He did not come home expecting to find proof that another man had been living inside the private spaces of his life. He came home carrying white roses, a small jewelry box, and the tired hope of a husband who finally understood that providing for a marriage was not the same as being present in one. His flight from Dallas landed just after 10 at night. The business trip had ended a day early after a client signed sooner than expected. Normally, Daniel would have stayed at the hotel, answered emails, and caught his scheduled flight the next morning. But that night, sitting alone in the airport lounge, he looked at a photo of his wife Lauren on his phone and felt something heavy in his chest. She had been smiling in the picture, but not the way she used to smile. The photograph was from a company dinner 6 months earlier. Daniel stood beside her in a navy suit, his arm around her waist, his face turned slightly towards someone outside the frame. Lauren looked beautiful in a black dress, but her eyes seemed distant, as if the camera had captured not a happy wife, but a woman politely standing inside a life that no longer reached her. Daniel stared at that photo for a long time. Then he changed his flight. At the airport gift shop, he bought the roses because Lauren used to love white roses. At a small jewelry counter near the terminal, he bought a delicate gold bracelet because it reminded him of one she had lost years earlier on a weekend trip to Austin. He imagined walking through the front door and surprising her. He imagined her laughing, maybe crying, maybe saying, "You should have told me." And he would say, "I know, but I wanted to come home before it was too late." He did not know that too late was already hanging in his closet. Daniel and Lauren Hayes lived in a wealthy suburb outside Dallas, in a large stone house with tall windows, a circular driveway, and a walk-in closet bigger than the bedroom in their first apartment. The closet had been Lauren's favorite part when they bought the house. "You could fit a small office in here," she had said, standing beneath the soft recessed lights. Daniel laughed. "Please don't. I don't want your shoes filing taxes." She threw a scarf at him. Back then, the closet had felt like a symbol of how far they had come. Daniel had grown up in a working-class family where closets were small, houses were rented, and fathers measured success by whether the bills were paid before the lights were threatened. He built his career carefully, first in sales, then consulting, then corporate strategy. By 42, he was successful enough to fly business class, own tailored suits, and be called in by executives who needed him to fix what they had broken. His suits became part of his identity. Charcoal for boardrooms, navy for client dinners, black for formal events, gray for travel days. Lauren used to tease him for arranging them by color. "Do they salute when you walk in?" she once asked. "They know discipline," Daniel said. "They know fear." He pulled her close and kissed her. "You love my closet. I love that you think it's a personality." They were happy then. Not perfect, but happy. Their early marriage had been filled with ordinary tenderness, bad dinners they cooked together, cheap wine, long Sunday mornings, grocery trips where they bought too much dessert, arguments that ended with apologies before sleep. Then Daniel's career accelerated. At first, Lauren was proud. She told friends, "Daniel works harder than anyone I know." She meant it as admiration. Later, the same sentence became a complaint, because hard work took him away. At first, 1 trip a month, then 2, then every other week, hotels, airports, client dinners, conference calls from other time zones. Daniel's suitcase lived half-packed beside the closet door. His shoes were always polished, his suits always ready. Lauren began to joke that she shared her husband with American Airlines. Then she stopped joking. One night, after Daniel returned from a 4-day trip and immediately opened his laptop at the kitchen island, Lauren stood across from him and said, "Do you even know what day it is?" Daniel looked up, confused. "Thursday? Our anniversary was yesterday." His face changed. "Lauren." She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "No, it's fine. I had dinner with your voicemail." He closed the laptop. "I'm sorry. I completely lost track." "I know. I'll make it up to you. You always make things up after missing them." The words landed hard. He stood. "That's not fair, isn't it? I'm doing this for us." Lauren looked around the expensive kitchen, the polished counters, the designer lights, the silent rooms. "Maybe stop saying that until you remember who us is." Daniel had no answer. He sent flowers the next morning. She placed them in a vase. They died on the dining table 3 days later, almost untouched. Lauren met Ryan Cole at a networking event. She worked in marketing for a luxury home design firm, and Ryan was a senior account executive at a partner company. He was handsome, confident, and easy in the way Daniel used to be before exhaustion made him practical. Ryan noticed things. At the event, while Daniel was in Chicago, Lauren stood near a display of architectural renderings, holding a glass of champagne she did not want. She had come alone because attending alone had become normal. Ryan approached with a polite smile. "Lauren Hayes, right?" She turned. "Yes." "Ryan Cole. We spoke over email last month about the Preston campaign." "Oh, right, nice to meet you in person." He glanced at the crowd. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." She laughed despite herself. "That obvious?" "To me. And are you always this direct?" "Only when someone looks trapped beside a cheese table." That made her laugh again. A real laugh. She had almost forgotten the sound. They talked for 20 minutes. Ryan asked about her work, then actually listened when she answered. He remembered a campaign concept she had pitched months earlier. He praised her ideas without making it sound like flattery. When she mentioned Daniel was traveling, Ryan said, "That must get lonely." The sentence should have been harmless. It was not. Lauren took a sip of champagne. "You get used to it." Ryan looked at her carefully. "That's not the same as being okay with it." She looked away. The conversation ended when someone called Ryan over, but before he left he said, "It was nice finally meeting the person behind the best emails in the industry. Lauren Smeedel." That night, when Daniel called from his hotel room, she almost told him about Ryan. Instead, Daniel began the call by saying, "I only have 10 minutes, early meeting tomorrow." Lauren looked at the dark window beside her. "Then don't waste them." He paused. "Are you angry?" "No, I'm tired." "Long day?" She almost laughed. Something like that. They spoke for 7 minutes. Afterward, Ryan sent her a message. "Good surviving the cheese table tonight." Lauren smiled at her phone, then she deleted the message. Not because it was wrong, because she liked it too much. The affair began with conversation. Most betrayals do. Not with hotel rooms, not with secret doors, not with bodies, with attention. Ryan texted about work at first, then about events, then about her days, then about whether she was really happy. Lauren defended Daniel at the beginning. "He travels a lot, but he works hard for us." Ryan replied, "Does he work for you? Or instead of being with you?" She hated that question. Then she saved it. The messages became longer. Lauren told Ryan things she no longer told Daniel because Daniel always seemed either tired, rushed, or guilty. She told Ryan she hated sleeping alone. She told him she felt like a guest in her own marriage, someone Daniel visited between flights. Ryan knew how to respond. "You deserve to be more than the person waiting at the end of his itinerary. A house is not a marriage if one person keeps coming home like a visitor. I don't understand how anyone could leave you lonely." Those words fed something starved inside her. She should have stopped. She should have told Daniel, "I'm getting attention from another man because I don't feel seen by you." She should have faced the pain before it became secrecy. Instead, she protected the messages. And secrecy turned loneliness into betrayal. Daniel sensed the distance, but he misunderstood it. Lauren stopped complaining about his trips. He thought that meant she had accepted his schedule. She stopped asking when he would be home. He thought she was becoming independent. She stopped waiting up. He told himself it was healthier that way. But what he called peace was really withdrawal. One evening, before a trip to Dallas, Daniel found Lauren in the walk-in closet, standing still among his suits. "What are you doing?" he asked gently. She touched the sleeve of his charcoal jacket. "Sometimes I think your clothes live here more than you do." He frowned. "Lauren." She smiled sadly. "I know, bad joke." He stepped inside and wrapped his arms around her from behind. "I'll only be gone 3 days." "You're always only gone something." He rested his chin on her shoulder. "When this contract ends, we'll take a trip. Just us." She closed her eyes. "You say that like the trip will fix the waiting." He turned her toward him. "I know I've been absent. You know it in a way that lets you say it. And still leave." The truth stung. Daniel kissed her forehead because he did not know what else to do. "I love you." "I know." He pulled back slightly. Her answer hurt more than if she had said nothing. During Daniel's Dallas trip, Ryan came to the house. The first time, Lauren insisted it was only because he needed to drop off campaign materials. He arrived in a Navy suit after a client dinner. Lauren opened the door and felt immediately that she had made a mistake. The house was too private, too quiet, too full of Daniel. Ryan stepped inside, looking around. So this is where you disappear. Lauren closed the door. Don't say it like that. Like what? Like you belong here. He looked at her. Do I? She should have said no. Instead, she walked toward the kitchen. They drank wine. They talked. Then they argued. Ryan wanted more. Lauren wanted to keep pretending there was still a line. You can't keep inviting me into your feelings and then acting shocked that I want to be in your life, he said. You are not in my life, Lauren snapped. He looked around the kitchen, the living room, the staircase. I'm standing in it. That was when guilt hit her. He was right. She had brought him into Daniel's home. Not emotionally now. Physically. He was standing where Daniel ate breakfast. Where Daniel dropped his suitcase after trips. Where Daniel kissed her goodbye before flights. This was a mistake, she said. Ryan stepped closer. Then asked me to leave. She did not. That night the affair crossed a line it could not uncross. Afterward, Ryan went upstairs to shower because rain had soaked his shirt when he arrived. Lauren, frantic with guilt, gave him an old t-shirt and sweatpants Daniel never wore. Ryan hung his navy suit in the walk-in closet so it would not wrinkle. Daniel's closet. Daniel's suite. Ryan's navy jacket between them like a flag planted in stolen territory. When Ryan left, he wore the borrowed clothes because his shirt was damp and he did not want to leave in wrinkled formal wear. I'll get the suit later, he said. Lauren, distracted and ashamed, nodded without thinking. Then she spent an hour wiping counters, washing glasses, changing sheets, lighting candles, and trying to erase the evidence of something she could not erase from herself. She forgot the suit. Daniel's plane landed the next night. Lauren did not know he was coming. When his rideshare pulled into the driveway just after midnight, the house was dark except for the kitchen light. Daniel smiled at that. Lauren always left one light on for him when he traveled. Maybe that meant something remained. He paid the driver, took his suitcase, picked up the roses, and walked to the door. The key turned quietly. Inside, the house smelled faintly of vanilla candle and something else. Cologne. Daniel paused. Not his. He told himself it was nothing. Maybe a candle. Maybe Lauren had hugged someone at work. Maybe he was tired. Lauren? He called softly. She appeared at the top of the stairs wearing a robe. Her face went pale before she smiled. Daniel? He held up the flowers. Surprise. She gripped the banister. You're home. That was the idea. I thought you weren't back until tomorrow. Deal ended early. He walked up the stairs, still smiling, though her reaction had already created a small cold place in his chest. She came down halfway and hugged him. Her body was stiff. He felt it. You okay? He asked. Just surprised. He handed her the roses. I wanted to come home early. That's sweet. Sweet. The word sounded like something said to a stranger. Daniel looked around. Were you asleep? Almost. He nodded. I'm going to unpack. Her expression changed instantly. Now? He frowned. Yes, I don't want my suit wrinkled. I can do it tomorrow. He smiled faintly. I know how to hang clothes, Lauren. I just mean you're tired. I'm fine. She followed him upstairs too quickly. In the bedroom, the bed was made perfectly, too perfectly for midnight. The pillows looked arranged, not used. On the dresser, Daniel noticed a pair of cufflinks. Not his. Small silver ones, with a dark blue stone. He picked one up. What's this? Lauren's breath caught. Oh, I found those in a drawer, maybe from an old event. Daniel looked at her. I've never seen them. You have a lot of things. He set the cufflink down slowly. The cold place inside him spread. I'll unpack, he said. Daniel. But he was already walking toward the closet. The walk-in closet lights came on automatically. Rows of Daniel's suits hung in clean order on the left. Lauren's dresses, coats, and blouses filled the right. Shoes lined the shelves. Suitcases sat neatly above. At first, nothing looked wrong. Then Daniel saw it. A navy suit hanging between his charcoal travel suit and his dark gray winter jacket. It was close enough in color that a person rushing might miss it. Daniel did not. He knew every suit he owned. This one was not his. He stood still. Behind him, Lauren made a small sound. He stepped forward and touched the sleeve. Different fabric, different cut, different size. The scent of unfamiliar cologne rose from it. Daniel pulled the jacket from the hanger and checked the label. Italian. Expensive. Not his tailor. He reached into the inside pocket. His fingers closed around a business card. He pulled it out. Ryan Cole, Senior Account Executive, Harrington and Vale Design Partners. Daniel stared at the name. Ryan Cole. He had heard Lauren mention him once, maybe twice. A coworker, a colleague, a man she said was just good at presentations. The room seemed to tilt. Daniel turned slowly. Lauren stood in the closet doorway, pale, flowers still in her hand. For a long moment neither spoke. Then Daniel lifted the suit. "Tell me, Lauren," he said quietly, "why is another man's suit hanging in the closet where my clothes are supposed to be?" Her mouth opened. No words came. He waited. The silence answered too much. Finally she said, "It's not what you think." Daniel laughed once. A broken sound. Then this should be easy. She looked down. Ryan came by after an event. He spilled wine on his shirt. I told him he could leave the suit here until he picked it up. Daniel nodded slowly. "In our closet?" He needed somewhere to hang it. "In our bedroom?" "Daniel, did he change clothes here?" She covered her mouth. Daniel's eyes moved past her toward the bedroom. His voice dropped. "Was he in our bedroom?" Lauren began crying. He looked again at the suit, as if it might transform into something less devastating if he stared long enough. It did not. Then Lauren's phone buzzed on the dresser. Both of them looked toward it. Daniel walked out of the closet. Lauren whispered, "Don't." That word confirmed everything. He picked up the phone before the screen went dark. A message preview glowed from Ryan. "I left my suit in the closet. Don't let him see it." The house went silent. Not quiet. Silent. The kind of silence that follows impact. Daniel set the phone down with unnatural care. Lauren sobbed. He returned to the closet, still holding the navy suit. "I left this house thinking my place here was waiting for me," he said. "But another man was comfortable enough to hang his life beside mine." Lauren cried, "I'm sorry." Daniel looked at her. "Were you going to tell me?" She did not answer. "Were you?" "I wanted to." "No," he said. "You wanted not to be caught." The words hit her hard because they were true. Lauren confessed in pieces. People rarely tell the truth all at once when they have spent months hiding it. First, she admitted Ryan had come over. Then that they had been emotionally close. Then that there had been messages. Then that it had happened more than once. Daniel listened without moving. He stood in the bedroom, still in his travel clothes, his suitcase unopened, the roses abandoned on the dresser. "How long?" he asked. Lauren wiped her face. "The messages started 4 months ago. And the affair?" She looked down. 6 weeks. "In my house?" "Only," he raised his hand. "Do not put only before betrayal." She closed her eyes. "In this house," she whispered. Daniel nodded as if the answer had completed something terrible. "Why?" Lauren began shaking. "I was lonely." He looked away. There it was. The word he expected. The word that explained everything and excused nothing. "I know," he said. She looked up, startled. "I know I was gone too much. I know I treated coming home like checking into my own life between trips. I know I made promises and postponed them. I know you were waiting for a husband who kept sending apologies instead of arriving." Tears ran down her face. "But I did not make you bring him here," Daniel said. "I did not make you let him into our bedroom. I did not make you hang his suit in my closet. I forgot it was there." "That's almost worse." She frowned through tears. "Why?" "Because he was comfortable enough here that his suit became easy to overlook." Lauren broke down. Daniel looked toward the closet. His suits hung neatly, meaningless now. The space that had once represented his work, his discipline, his identity, had become a place where another man's presence had been hidden in plain sight. The closet felt invaded. The home felt invaded. His marriage felt occupied. Ryan called twice that night. Lauren did not answer. The third time, Daniel took the phone. "Don't," Lauren whispered. Daniel answered and put it on speaker. Ryan's voice came through low and tense. "Lauren? Did you see it?" Daniel closed his eyes briefly. Ryan went silent. "Then, Daniel?" Daniel's voice was calm. "You left your suit in my closet." Ryan exhaled. "Look, this is between you and Lauren." "No," Daniel said. "You entered my home. You used my absence. You left your clothes beside mine. That makes it between us." Ryan tried to regain control. She was unhappy. "I know. You were never home. I know that too." She needed someone. Daniel looked at Lauren, then at the phone. "A decent man does not hear that a marriage is weak and decide that means the door is open." Ryan said nothing. Daniel continued, "You will not come to this house again. You will not contact my wife while we decide what remains of this marriage. If you left anything else here, consider it gone." Ryan's voice hardened. "You can't control her." No, Daniel said. I can only remove you from my home. He ended the call. Lauren looked at him. Are you going to throw the suit away? Daniel held the navy jacket for a moment. Then he folded it carefully. No, he said. I want him to remember carrying it out. The next morning, Daniel left the suit in a garment bag on the front porch. Ryan came by while Daniel watched from inside. Ryan did not knock. He picked it up and left quickly. For all his confidence, he looked small walking away with the evidence of what he had done. Daniel left the house that morning. Lauren followed him to the door. Please don't go. He stopped, but did not turn. I can't sleep here. We can talk. I know. Then stay. He turned then. His eyes were red, but his voice was steady. Do you know what I saw when I opened that closet? Lauren cried silently. I didn't just see a suit, he said. I saw someone taking up space where I thought my trust belonged. She covered her mouth. I saw my absence used against me. I saw how easy it was for another man to become familiar in my home. I'm sorry. I believe you. Hope flickered. Then he said, but believing you're sorry doesn't make the closet mine again. He walked out. Lauren stood in the doorway as he drove away. The house behind her was large, beautiful, and suddenly unbearable. Upstairs, the closet still smelled faintly of Ryan's cologne. Lauren spent the afternoon removing everything from it. Daniel's suite, her dresses, shoes, boxes, laundry baskets. She sat on the closet floor surrounded by empty hangers and cried until her body hurt. For the first time, she understood the full meaning of what she had allowed. She had not only betrayed Daniel's heart, she had let another man enter the private architecture of their life. Daniel stayed at a hotel for 2 nights. Then he moved into his brother's guest room. His brother Mark did not ask for details at first. He simply handed Daniel a towel and said, "Stay as long as you need." On the 3rd night, Mark found him sitting in the dark living room, still wearing the same clothes from earlier. Can't sleep? Daniel shook his head. Want to talk? No. Mark sat anyway. After a long silence, Daniel said, "It was in my closet." Mark waited. Not a message, not a receipt, not some rumor. His suit was hanging with mine. His voice cracked. I keep thinking about how many times I packed for a trip in that closet. How many times she watched me leave. How many times I thought I was coming back to the same life. Mark's face hardened with sympathy. Daniel continued, I was gone too much. That doesn't make this your fault. I know. Do you? Daniel looked down. I'm trying to. That was the hardest part. Betrayal makes the wounded person inspect their own failures like evidence. Daniel knew he had been absent. He knew Lauren had been lonely. He knew their marriage had weakened before Ryan entered it. But weakness is not permission. Distance is not consent. Loneliness is not a key. He repeated those truths to himself for weeks before he believed them. Lauren ended contact with Ryan through one message. What happened was betrayal. Do not contact me again. Ryan replied quickly. You're letting guilt win. He neglected you. You deserve someone who chooses you. Lauren stared at the message. Once, those words would have comforted her. Now they sounded like a man trying to protect his access. She typed, If you cared about me, you would have wanted me honest. You only wanted me hidden. Then she blocked him. Afterward, she went upstairs and stood in the empty closet. The hangers were gone. The shelves bare. The space echoed. She understood then that guilt was not enough. Guilt cried. Guilt apologized. Guilt begged. But repentance had to tell the whole truth without demanding a reward. So she wrote Daniel a letter. Daniel, I know I was lonely is not an excuse. It is only the condition I used to justify what I chose. You were absent in ways that hurt me, but I betrayed you in a way that changed our home. I let Ryan into our house, our bedroom, and the closet where your life waited between trips. I understand now why the suit hurt you so much. It was not just evidence. It was invasion. I am sorry I made your home feel unsafe. Lauren. Daniel read the letter 3 times. He did not reply for 2 days. When he finally did, he wrote only, Thank you for telling the truth without asking me to make it hurt less. Lauren cried when she read that. It was not forgiveness, but it was the first honest thing between them in months. They went to counseling. At first, Daniel hated the room. He hated sitting on a couch under soft lighting while trying to describe a wound that felt too humiliating to turn into sentences. He hated that Lauren cried. He hated that part of him still wanted to comfort her. He hated that he missed her. The counselor asked him what hurt most. Daniel laughed bitterly. Is there a ranking system? The counselor did not smile. Sometimes there is a center. Daniel stared at the floor. "The closet," he said finally. Lauren closed her eyes. "Why?" the counselor asked. Daniel looked toward her. "Because a closet is where you keep the ordinary parts of yourself, the things no one sees. Your routine, your work, your smell, your private life." I opened mine and found another man had been folded into it. Lauren wept quietly. Daniel continued, "It made me feel replaced. Not in theory. Physically. Like his life was hanging where mine belonged." The counselor turned to Lauren. "What do you hear him saying?" Lauren wiped her face. "That I didn't just cheat," she said. "I let another man occupy his place. I made his absence feel like an opening." Daniel swallowed hard. The counselor asked Lauren why she had allowed Ryan into the house. Lauren looked at Daniel. "Because I was angry at the house," she said. Daniel frowned. "At the house?" "At how perfect it looked when I felt so lonely inside it. At how everyone thought I had such a good husband because you provided so well. And you are a good man, Daniel. But I felt invisible. Ryan made me feel visible. And instead of facing you with that pain, I let him enter the place where the pain lived." Daniel listened. For the first time, he began to understand not in a way that excused her, but in a way that clarified the map of their collapse. He had been absent. She had been lonely. Ryan had been convenient. But Lauren had opened the door. That truth remained. Months passed. Daniel moved back into the house, but not into the bedroom. He slept in the guest room. Lauren did not argue. She knew better. They tried routines. Dinner together twice a week. No phones at the table. Full honesty about schedules. Individual therapy. Marriage counseling. Some days felt almost normal. One evening, Daniel told a story about a client who had called a structural column decorative and wanted it removed. Lauren laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. For a moment, the kitchen felt warm again. Then Daniel went upstairs to get a sweater. He stopped at the closet door. Lauren saw him freeze. The laughter vanished. He did not go in. He turned away and said, "I'll get one from the laundry." Lauren watched him walk downstairs. Trust, she realized, was not rebuilt by promises alone. It had to pass through rooms, through smells, through ordinary movements, and Daniel still could not enter that closet without seeing Ryan's suit. A week later, Daniel removed all his clothes from the walk-in closet and set up a small wardrobe in the guest room. Lauren did not protest. She sat on the bed afterward and cried. Not because he was cruel, because he was honest. One Sunday afternoon, Daniel returned to the master bedroom while Lauren was out grocery shopping. He stood before the closet. The door was open. The space was clean. Empty on one side. Lauren's clothes remained on the other, but she had left the middle bare, as if making room for the trust she had destroyed. Daniel stepped inside. For a few seconds, he was okay. Then the memory arrived. The navy suit. The business card. The message. "Don't let him see it." He gripped the shelf. His breath shortened. He backed out and sat on the bed, shaking. That was when he knew. He loved Lauren. He believed she was sorry. He believed he had failed her in real ways. But the house no longer felt like refuge, and he did not know how to be married inside a home that made him feel like a visitor to his own pain. When Lauren came home, he was sitting at the kitchen table. She saw his face and set the grocery bags down slowly. "What happened?" "I went into the closet." Her eyes filled. "Oh, I tried." "I know." He looked at her with deep sadness. "I don't think I can live here." She nodded, though tears ran down her face. "Do you mean the house?" He did not answer. That was answer enough. They separated again, this time more gently, more finally. Daniel rented a small apartment near his office. Lauren stayed in the house while they decided what to do. They continued counseling, but the purpose shifted from repair to truth. In one session, Lauren asked, "Do you think if we sold the house, we could start over somewhere else?" Daniel thought carefully. "I don't know, but maybe?" He looked at her. "I'm afraid the closet would follow us." She closed her eyes. That sentence ended more than the conversation. A month later, Daniel asked for divorce. Not angrily, not suddenly. He came to the house on a Saturday morning. Lauren made coffee. They sat at the kitchen table where they had once planned vacations, budgets, family dinners, and paint colors. Daniel said, "I forgive parts of it." Lauren looked up. "I don't know if forgiveness happens all at once," he continued, "but I don't hate you. I don't want to punish you. I don't want Ryan to define the rest of my life." She held the mug with both hands. "But I can't stay married to you." Her eyes filled. He looked down. "I wanted to be able to. I tried. But every time I think of coming home, I think of opening that closet." Lauren cried quietly. I understand. I'm sorry. She shook her head. No. Don't apologize for the consequence of what I did. For the first time, Daniel saw that she truly understood. It helped. It did not change the decision. They sold the house in spring. The realtor described it as elegant, spacious, perfect for professionals, ideal for entertaining. Daniel almost laughed when he read the listing. No mention of the closet. No mention of the suit. No mention of a marriage that had collapsed beneath recessed lighting and expensive hangers. On the final day before closing, Daniel came to remove his remaining things. Lauren was already there, standing near the staircase. The house was empty. Their footsteps echoed. Together, they walked upstairs to the master bedroom. The closet door stood open. Nothing hung inside. No sweets. No dresses. No shoes. No evidence. Just space. Daniel stood at the threshold. Lauren stood beside him. I'm sorry, she said softly. I know. I wish I had told you I was lonely before I became dishonest. So do I. I wish you had come home before I stopped believing you wanted to. He nodded. So do I. They were quiet. There was no need to decide who had wounded first, as if marriage were a courtroom. They had both failed the marriage, but only one of them had betrayed it. Lauren knew that now. Daniel stepped into the empty closet. For the first time, he could stand there without shaking. Not because it no longer hurt, because it no longer belonged to him. He turned to Lauren. I hope you heal, he said. She began to cry. I hope you do too. They walked downstairs separately. At the front door, Daniel paused. The house was bright with afternoon light. For one brief second, he remembered their first day there. Lauren spinning in the hallway, him laughing, the closet empty and full of possibility. He let that memory exist. Then he walked out. After the divorce, Lauren moved into a smaller townhouse across town. No walk-in closet, just a simple wardrobe and a few shelves. At first, she hated the smallness. Then she came to appreciate it. There was less room to hide from herself. She left the design firm and took a quieter job. She went to therapy. She learned to say lonely before loneliness became resentment. She learned to say angry before anger became revenge. She learned that being seen by the wrong person can feel like rescue only because it asks nothing honorable of you. Ryan tried once to contact her from a new number. I still think about you. Lauren stared at the message, then deleted it. Not like before. Not to hide. To end. She blocked the number and placed the phone face down. There was no thrill, no warmth, no secret door. Only the sadness of realizing how little his attention had been worth compared to what it cost. Daniel rebuilt slowly. He traveled less. At work, when clients tried to schedule unnecessary weekend meetings, he said no. At first, people were shocked. Then they adapted. The world did not collapse because Daniel Hayes stopped sacrificing every evening to prove his value. He bought fewer suits. The first time he went shopping after the divorce, the salesman brought him a navy suit. Daniel stared at it too long. Different color, he said. The salesman nodded politely. Daniel bought a brown jacket instead. One, Lauren would have said, made him look like a history professor. He smiled at that thought, then felt the ache of it. Healing was strange that way. A memory could hurt and still be tender. 2 years later, Daniel moved into a modest house with smaller closets and more windows. He hung his clothes without a range-to. Not because discipline no longer mattered, but because he no longer wanted a closet to feel like identity. One evening, while putting away laundry, he paused at the closet door. No panic came. No image of Ryan's suit. Just shirts, jackets, shoes, ordinary life. Daniel rested one hand against the doorframe and breathed. The closet was only a closet again. That was how he knew something inside him had begun to heal. Years later, Daniel and Lauren saw each other at a charity event. It was accidental. Lauren was helping with the event planning. Daniel was attending with a client. They spotted each other across the room and both hesitated. Then Lauren walked over. Danielle, Lauren. She looked older, softer, less polished in the way people become when they stop performing strength. You look well, she said. So do you. They stood awkwardly for a moment. Then she said, I heard you bought a house. A small one. Does it have a giant closet? He smiled faintly. No. She nodded, eyes wet. Good. There was no need to explain. They both understood. Before leaving, Lauren said, Thank you for not hating me forever. Daniel took a breath. I did for a while. She nodded. You had the right. I don't anymore. Her eyes filled. I'm glad. He looked at her with the sadness of someone who had loved her truly and lost her completely. I hope you forgave yourself enough to become honest. She swallowed. I'm trying. That's good. They parted quietly. No reunión. No dramatic embrace. No second chance. Just two people who had once shared a home, a closet, a life, and a wound, meeting on the other side of consequence. The story of the suit became smaller with time. At first it was everything. The image Daniel could not escape. The symbol Lauren could not forgive herself for. But years softened its edges. The suit became less of a nightmare and more of a lesson. For Daniel, it taught him that absence creates cracks, but betrayal is still a choice made by the person who walks through them. For Lauren, it taught her that loneliness does not become less painful by being hidden in another man's arms. It only becomes more destructive. And for both of them, it taught a truth neither would forget. A marriage is not only protected by love, it is protected by boundaries, by honesty, by the courage to speak pain before it turns into secrecy. Because a closet may hide clothes, but it cannot hide betrayal forever. When another man's suit hangs where a husband's trust used to belong, the truth has already moved into the house.